I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's EGGBURT, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
There's two truths in the world, okay? Never walk in a Target store wearing a red shirt, and never go against an Asian when it comes to math.
That's right. Never go against an Asian when it comes to math. Okay, John. A couple things here. First off, we do this show live 7 to 8 o'clock Central Daylight Savings Time. It'll be Central Standard Time. What, next weekend? Is that when we switched again next weekend?
Yeah, I think it's this weekend we fall back.
Is it this weekend? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So here's the interesting thing on that. And I just lost my train of thought where I was going with this. Damn it.
You were going to talk about the Jeff Bezos op-ed.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I was going to say, the controversy, this was brought up by Mark Cox. Apparently, I think he said that in one of the editions or one of the updates in the Post-Dispatch about the voting in St. Charles County, and also Fox 2 was reporting that voting has been suspended in St. Charles County, and it has not. So if you're listening real time and you're considering to early vote, the polling centers are open normal hours today, tomorrow. The place there off of 79, Salt Lick, whatever you want to call it, is 79 north of 70 south, Salt Lick South, is open on Saturday, whereas the Element Church is not open on Saturday, and the Element Church is only open till 3 o'clock, whereas I believe the Election Commission office is open till 4:30. So if you've heard that there is no early voting today, that is not true. So you can go early vote. And for a moment, John, let's take a step back and say, let's say there was no early voting and everybody showed up on November 5th, next Tuesday. Do you think they would be there like at 3 o'clock the next morning? Because if you can't get through, I know there's going to be a bunch more polling places, but even in St. Louis County, where they have like 12 sites or something like that?
Yeah. To answer your question, I think it would be, I think the lines would be prohibitively long this year on Election Day. And my own experience yesterday, Brad, I went in the afternoon to a location in West St. Louis County, and I drove past and I looked for a spot and there was nowhere to park. And I looked at the line, and outside of a library, there were roughly, I'm pretty good at estimating, I would say there were 150. And then later on, I went and looked at the app and it said there were 180 people in line. I just kept driving. I had other stuff to do. So I'm going to go today to try to vote today. But it's insanity, Brad. I went mid-afternoon. I drove by mid-afternoon on a Wednesday, and there's between 150 and 180 people in line.
So you've tried to do this for what? Didn't you try to do it earlier this week too?
Yeah,
2 days.
It's 2 days. Now I'm going to bite the bullet today because I got, with kid stuff, I got a ton of Halloween stuff. So after we get off the air, I'm going to do the stuff that we do with the show, and then I'm going to just bite the bullet and have a little work with me on my phone, and expect to stand in line for an hour and a half or so.
Okay, so once again, if there wasn't early voting, and once again, I know there's a gazillion more polling places in St. Louis County, and obviously there's a hell of a lot more polling places in St. Charles County than just 2, but still, it's to the point where, and I know part of the problem is the ballot is very, very, very long, and depending upon what muni you're in and what county you're in, there's all sorts of crazy stuff in there about, do you think that the city council members should be wearing thongs when they're on the dais instead of cowboy boots? I mean, just weird stuff, all sorts of weird stuff. But even to the point where the election authority people I've heard on other radio stations, because they won't come in this station, because Kurt Barr would never, ever probably answer my phone call. But they are all saying, get the sample ballot and go through and mark your sample ballot. And that way you can go to the polling place. You can just literally clunk, 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 out the door you go. And you're not, well, am I for or against that kind of stuff.
Hey, I thought of, to that point, Brad, I thought of a business opportunity that I think is legal that I'm surprised nobody has done, which is, what if you had a crew of people that you could rent to hold your place in line?
John, I have had this idea going to the DMV. I thought to myself, I bet you I could make money by just standing there all day and just keep, like every 10th person, grab a number. And when somebody comes up and they go, oh my God, the line's so long. Well, for $5, I'll give you this ticket, which is.
Well, so you think about it. I'm sorry to interrupt, Brad, but you think about it yesterday. Like I had multiple stops I needed to make in the afternoon, and I had hard deadlines of places I needed to be. I would have paid somebody $20, maybe $25 an hour, probably $30 an hour.
Well,
if they could say, look, I will come back and you text me when you're getting close to the door and I will race here and I'll take your spot. Like I would have gladly paid somebody X amount of dollars to hold a place in line for me.
Okay, John, you're the political expert. Before they changed the rules for filing for candidates, where if you were first in line, you got your name first on the ballot, weren't there candidates that had like their their staff that would stand in line for them? Wasn't that the deal?
Absolutely, yeah. Would have hold a place in line. That's where about a bunch of young, hungry staffers got to meet each other, right. Hang out, like eat some food, drink some beer illicitly. And that's what, and so we added, I say we as government, well, I shouldn't put myself in that category. Political people added a little bit of sensibility to that. And now it's, as long as you're there on the first day, it's a lottery system. But you're right. There were placeholders there. But, the placeholder concept is used if you were trying to get tickets to a Taylor Swift concert a few years ago.
Right.
You would pay somebody to stand in line.
Right, and that was because of the fact that the same deal used to be the staple on the 10 o'clock newscast. And we now go down to the whatever it is, the convention center where the so-and-so concert's going to be held, where the people have been in line. Or remember the goofy thing where people would line up, they'd camp out in front of the Best Buy. They would camp out in front of the Best Buy, to get the new iPhone. Or
on Black Friday, remember. Now, Brad, just thinking out loud here, if you go to get your hair cut at a Great Clips or like a Sport Clips type place, you can make a reservation. I'm surprised there haven't been any polling places, as far as I know, any jurisdictions that experiment with, you are reserved for you and an X number of people. They would allow to reserve from, 9:10 a.m. to 9:25 a.m. Arrive between that time, and then you can vote. I wonder if anybody's ever experimented with that before.
Well, to me, this is a perfect example of the difference between government and the private sector. Because if this were run by the private sector, after day one, they would figure out, okay, we've got to make some changes. We've got to bring in, our staff from Des Moines and bring them down, and we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and within a couple of days it would be fixed. But in government, and see, that's the thing that sort of cracks me up about this thing, and I'm not trying to beat up and Kurt Barr, but I don't know the guy that well, but he seems to me like he's like trying to be the ultimate bureaucrat. Well, this is the way things are done. You want a list of the candidates, you have to file a Freedom of Information Act. To me, the whole Sunshine Law, Freedom of Information Act is BS because of the fact that if the government is there and it's not like a top secret document, why do you have to jump through hoops to see it as a citizen? You know what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. In defense of Kurt Barr, and I don't know Kurt Barr either. I'm not friends with Kurt Barr. But in his defense, with the Sunshine Law stuff, you have to be so careful these days, Brad. And you know that very well. But if you had somebody, can you imagine if you had somebody that people perceive to be a Republican, let's say Brad Hildebrand, and people are like, well, Brad Hildebrand went and spoke at candidate school, and then he just moseys into the county elections office and gets a list of XYZ. I don't know why Kurt Barr doesn't do that for Democrats. At least with a little bureaucracy, they're able to say, look, this guy, Brad Hildebrand, filed a sunshine request. He made a request. He came into the office. They gave him the thing. I don't know. I think it safeguards both the information that you're seeking, and then it safeguards the elected officials from the appearance of playing favorites.
But John,
that's all. And again, I'm not defending Kurt Barr in this. And in fact, if you're Kurt Barr, on November 7th, November 8th, after the dust settles, you got to get your guys together and your women together and say, how the F did we go into this election with 2 early voting places? Why do we not have places all throughout the district? Whose decision was this? Like, somebody has to be accountable for that.
Well, I don't understand why it's at the family church because, I mean, nothing against the family church, but I know people who won't go to the family church just because of the fact that they are like agnostics or atheists. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that would be like having voting at a liquor store. Some people go, "Oh my God, I could stand in line and drink a couple tall boys while I'm waiting in line." And there are people going like, maybe they're alcoholics going, "No, I'm not going to the liquor store to vote."
Yeah, but Brad, you've gone and voted at schools, and you're a sworn enemy of public education.
You know what? I think you're starting to see that. I've been told that by some of my educator friends that they don't have voting there anymore because of the fact that there were reasons they didn't want to have the people vote there anymore. The school districts didn't have that. And by the way, see, let me go back at your thing about public information. Okay, so in other words, you're saying that I shouldn't be able to find out what the superintendent of schools for the Francis Howell School District makes and what the teachers make and what?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
What, you're saying no? I shouldn't.
No, I'm saying that's absolutely not what I'm saying.
But
I'm saying that like if you're maybe you're making the same point I am. Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, public salaries should definitely be public information.
But nowadays, okay, if you give me a name, if you say, "Hey, I met this guy the other night, and I'm sort of curious. He's telling me he's a
Lorenzo von Matterhorn." Right. He says he's Lorenzo von Matterhorn.
Right. Okay. So, matter of fact, there's a meme that we're not actually meme, like a little YouTube short that is remember 2.5 Men. Remember when what's his face quit?
Charlie Sheen.
And Adam, what's his name? Kutcher. What's his first name?
Ashton Kutcher.
Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher took over. There's a famous scene that I see cut up all the time where he's sitting at a bar. He walks up to this, beautiful lady sits down next to him at the bar, and he starts chatting her up, and she's like has no interest in him whatsoever. And then he gives his name, and he makes sure and spells the name, and she goes to the bathroom. She's like, "I have no interest in that guy." So she goes to the bathroom, and he's talking to one of his friends. "Okay, she just went to the bathroom. She's in the bathroom right now. She's Googling my name, and that's why." And because the guy says, "Why'd you spell your name?" So she'll get it right when she does the Google search, and she realized because I think in that instance he played like a rich guy or a billionaire or something like that. And then she comes back out, "Hey, maybe I'll take you up on that drink." The point being is, you can find out anything about anybody on the internet right now. I have people that send me stuff all the time that's bizarre, that is weird stuff about me. And matter of fact, remember when we were doing some of the chat GPT stuff and I was like matter of fact, I posted one of them on my Facebook page and it's funny because I literally get people calling me to want to know if I died because it sounded like an obituary. But the funny part was I said, type me a biography of Brad Hildebrand, the radio guy in St. Louis. And the bio that comes out that talked about how I was a producer and I worked in Nashville and I produced all these different records. And I'm going like, no, that's not me. But once again, the point being is it's out there. Why are there barriers to entry? Which brings us to our next topic.
Which is the next topic?
Well, I'm going to break a little bit early here so we have time in the next segment for 2 different topics. First yesterday, I listened to the entire podcast with Alex, the Call Her Daddy lady. You know who Alex is, the Call Her Daddy?
I'm familiar with Call Her Daddy, yeah.
Okay. I listened to the entire podcast of her and Kamala Harris, okay?
Oh, okay.
And as a man, I have some real issues with this. And
interesting.
I would like to bring this up next break. And I will tell you right now, ladies, if we have lady listeners, and I know you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me with what I have to say. And maybe some women will love it what I'm going to say, and some women will hate what I'm going to say. But as a man, I think this needs to be said because I'm the guy that is the guy who is essentially saying, I'm tired of the toxic masculinity stuff. I'm tired of all this stuff. We're bringing up our young men in a confused state. The old guys don't know what to do anymore because, they're afraid to talk to a woman in a bar because whatever. And here's my reaction to the Kamala Harris interview with Call Her Daddy. And if you know the whole Call Her Daddy thing, she's got to be, I think she's officially noted as like the top female podcaster. I think she's got like more.
Yeah, that seems about right.
More downloads than any other female podcaster. Okay, we'll do that next, and we'll do the first section will be the Kamala Harris, and the second section will be the Jeff Bezos thing, because you had a chance to read that yesterday, correct?
Correct, I did.
Okay, and I would love to hear your reactions to that. Okay.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?